It has a lot of details that if you do know how to read it, it could provide a lot of important insights about how the company is doing.
はい、皆さんこんにちは。スマートチューターの山田です。今日はですね、以前スマートチューターの CFO に損益計算表を英語でどのようにして理解していくのかというのを教えてもらった動画があるので、それを皆さんに共有したいと思います。それではどうぞ。
So, could you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Jimmy. I'm the CFO of Plus One, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for taking time to do this. Appreciate it.
はい、ここで私の言った appreciate it なんですけど、thank you の代わりに使えるような感謝してますというような意味で、便利なのでぜひ使ってみてください。
Okay, so this is the first question. What is statement of operation?
I think everyone's looking at the shared screen right now. This is a statement of operations from Tesla, a big US company. So every quarter they put out an update, and this is one of the statements that you could find. A statement of operations is essentially another name for income statement or profit and loss or P&L. That's what you often hear, or statement of earnings. So that comes in different names, and statement of operations is just one of them.
はい、ここで一つ注釈なんですが、ジミーの発音、is just one of them と、ちゃんと言ってもいいんですけど、ジミーは one of them 全部の th を省略して one of them と発音しています。これはよく発音される方法なんですが、覚えていただいてもいいと思います。
And it's one of the most important financial statements to gauge the company's performance and financial health, because it shows you where the company is making money and where it's spending money. So it's very important. Yeah.
I see. So it shows that how healthy the company is or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a scorecard, if you will. The overall performance of the company. You could see it through this statement of operations. Now, there are other pieces to a set of financial statements. We'll talk about that in future sessions. But just here, statement of operations. I mean, if you just glance through the report, you could see, revenue, net income, and those are a really important gauge of the company's overall performance.
I see. And now a lot of business people are thinking that it is very important to be able to read statement of operation or profit and loss sheet and stuff like that. I've heard a lot of, like that many times. And why do you think that is so important?
I mean, it's like if you go to a doctor and then they give you a report, it's always nice or important to be able to read, what the numbers says, right? And so again, it provides details about the company's overall performance, and there are certain standards that you need to adhere to, and so that's why I usually don't look at the first couple of pages too much, because those are usually graphs and highlights, which are important, but those are more what the company wants you to see, and they tend to highlight all the good news, versus here in the financial statements, it's the numbers don't lie, right? So it's very structured in the way it lists out the revenues, the cost of revenues, operating expenses. We could go into that a little bit later. So it has a lot of details that if you do know how to read it, it could provide a lot of important insights about how the company is doing. Whether it's seeing the revenue growth trend, or there's certain costs that are just
はい、またここで注釈ですが、ここでスパイラリングという言葉が出てきています。これはですね、螺旋状とかっていう意味でもあるんですが、物価、費用などが急増、高騰するとかっていう意味でも使われています。
out of control, things like that. So yeah, it's important. So one real quick example would be if a company is not profitable, but it has a lot of revenue. Now you can look into the statement of operations or P&L and kind of get an idea of like which expenses might be using too much of the revenue or budget. That would give you an idea of how the company's doing. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer. I hope that explains why it's important to read it.
Yeah, it explains a lot. Yeah, English is my second language, so it's hard to understand everything. The vocabulary is on the sheet. And
Sure.
I'm going to ask you the important words on the sheet, the meaning of it.
Sure.
And on top of it, it says revenues. What actually the revenue is?
Revenue essentially means...
はい、またここで注釈なんですが、revenue はもちろん収益とか収入という意味になります。発音は、最初の re を大きく読めば綺麗に聞こえると思います。revenue 覚えてみてください。
So it's essentially like how much money is the company generating, right? So if you think about if you're in the wine business, it basically equals how many bottles did you sell times how much did you sell each bottle at, and so you times the two together and it's revenue essentially.
I see. Okay. And what is cost of revenues?
So if you look at the statement of operations here, you see there's cost of revenues and then there's operating expenses. So those two essentially are money that the company spends to generate the income or revenue.
I see. So like paying ads and stuff like that to gain signups, and then
exactly. So it's the cost of revenues here is a little different. That the cost of revenue refers to the direct cost, total cost of manufacturing and delivering a product or service. So for example, going back to the wine example, the total cost or the cost of revenue here would be, for example, if I buy the grapes from somewhere else, how much are the grapes cost me, right? If I purchase, empty glass bottles to fill in the wine, how much are them? If I need to hire people to help bottle the wine, how much? So it could directly be traced to the product that you're selling or the service you're selling. The operating expenses, a little less so. Those are more the overhead.
はい、ここでまた注釈なんですが、このオーバーヘッドと言われるものは、諸経費とか間接費と呼ばれるものになっています。はい、いかがでしたでしょうか。パート2もありますので、ぜひそちらもご覧いただければと思います。では最後までご視聴ありがとうございました。次の動画でお会いしましょう。さよなら。